was in the air all around him. It was once again a battle to defend the precious treasures of Chessington and her people from the chaos of a kingdom filled with repressive and greedy brutes. Although Gavin was a young knight, he had acquired the skill of an expert swordsman. He did not hesitate or retreat from his enemy's onslaught, but masterfully met each blow with the mighty sword he wielded, using quick and powerful combinations that nearly found their mark. Feeling the hesitation in the fight of his enemy, he replied with another slice and a quick thrust that put his opponent down. "Behind you, Gavin!" came a shout from a fellow noble knight. Gavin turned to engage his new adversary, but it was too late. A sword blasted into his helmet and sent him reeling to the ground, face down, dizzy and in pain. He rolled onto his back and realized that his helmet had been knocked clean off his head. The world was a blur as he tried to focus and regain control of his senses. His new opponent wasted no time in bringing a deadly vertical cut down on him, and Gavin felt helpless, for it was impossible for him to bring his own sword into a protective position in the split second that remained. As his opponent's weapon raced toward his chest, Gavin heard the yell of a familiar voice, and a powerful sword came across to meet the one that was about to end Gavin's life. As the two swords collided, Gavin rolled and recovered to see a fellow knight engage and attack his would-be executioner. Within a moment, the foe was bleeding and retreating from the fight. The knight turned and looked at Gavin with concern. "Are you all right, Sir Gavin?" he asked. "I am now, thank you, Lord Caiaphas. You have saved my life once again." The two men positioned themselves side by side, looking for the next fight, but the marauders were under retreat. The two forces slowly disengaged, and the sounds of clashing swords diminished. Gavin turned to face Caiaphas and took a deep breath in an attempt to recover from the intensity of the fight. He offered his hand in appreciation. Caiaphas removed his helmet and smiled at Gavin. "You are welcome. I should expect you to return the favor someday," Caiaphas replied as he took Gavin's hand. Caiaphas had personally mentored Gavin, who had served as Caiaphas's squire for many years until he earned the right to become a knight himself. Gavin's skill with the sword and his zeal for the code won him that right earlier than any other man in the history of the noble knights. Now, at 20 years old, he had already become one of the top 5 knights in Chessington, carrying on the tradition of his family. In reality, Gavin's skill had the potential to transcend that of every noble knight. In the heat of a sword fight, he felt as though he could predict the moves of his opponent. He did not have to contemplate his next maneuver. It seemed to be a natural ability that flowed through the muscles of his arms and legs. An older knight's experience occasionally led to his defeat, but it was only a matter of time before the rising young knight would be second to none, not even Caiaphas. The noble knights gathered around Caiaphas and rejoiced in their victory. "For king and code!" Caiaphas exclaimed.
"For king and code!"
echoed the force of noble knights. They were powerful, well-trained knights, and the citizens of Chessington were thankful for their protection. Through the years, they had defended the borders of the city against every kind of enemy the kingdom threw at them, and there were many. Without a wall to protect it, the city was vulnerable, and the noble knights knew it was their duty to protect every Chessington citizen. These were the king's chosen people, and the noble knights were the chosen of the chosen. Anyone not a citizen of Chessington was considered an outdweller, and although not all were enemies, the distinction was clearly evident in their dealings with such people. Even within Chessington, some of the noble knights became arrogant in their position of prestige, but not Gavin. He was a man who was zealous for the cause of the king and desired to live by the letter of the code with perfection. Although he harbored no ill feelings toward outdwellers who were not enemies, he knew that he was code and honor-bound to the citizens of Chessington exclusively. "You fought well today," Caiaphas said to Gavin, as they rode their mounts into the city. Many people had lined the streets to cheer their champions, and most of the knights basked in the adoration. "Thank you. Your training of the knights has proven to be our salvation once again," Gavin said. Caiaphas appeared indifferent to the compliment. "My younger sister has asked of you, Gavin. I think a visit from you would be well received." Gavin became slightly embarrassed. Liesl was a beautiful girl, and he felt honored that Caiaphas would consider him an appropriate suitor for his sister.